right, good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to learn how to create an animal marionette from toilet paper rolls. So before we get started, I'd like to go over a few things. I will be friendly and respectful of others in my interactions in the chat box. I will use the Q&A box for relevant and appropriate questions. The Q&A box can be found down below, as well as the chat box. I will use the chat box to respond and interact in regards to the webinar topic. And I understand that if the moderator of the webinar has asked me to alter my behavior in the chat, I may be removed from the webinar. All right, now, before we get started, please share with us in the chat box where you are from and how many people are watching. I'd love to know who's with us today. And if you find the Q&A box, if you'd like to submit any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to do so, and we'll try to get those answers to you as best we can. And I know today, since we're doing a craft, we might have a lot of extra questions. So either Chris, who's behind the scenes, or I will try to stay on top of that for you guys. We do, and by the way, Chris is our tech person. She's behind the scenes with us. So if I refer to her, that's who I'm talking to today. And at the end, we'll take a quick enjoyment poll. So please be sure to fill that out to let us know how we did today. All right, let's see. I'm going to quickly check the chat to see where everybody's from. Okay, Granite City, one from St. Louis, Chesterfield, fabulous. All right, well, I'm so glad you're all joining us today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Awesome. All right, so here's some examples of what we're going to be kind of getting after today. These are animal marionettes, all made from toilet paper rolls. And so you are welcome to try to create some of these other ones after our webinar today. The one we're going to be doing is a little bit different, but this webinar will be posted on YouTube so that you can go and rewatch it, and you can check out some of these other tutorials. And Pinterest is another great place to find some tutorials too if you really enjoyed this craft today and want to make more than one. Next slide, please. So I'm going to quickly go over a supply list because there are quite a few supplies. You should have gotten an email list ahead of time to tell you what you're going to need, but I'm going to tell you one more time so that you have a few minutes to gather any last minute items that you might not have. So we need string, scissors, tape, either paints, which I'm going to use paints today, or markers. Those work fine too. Obviously, we are going to need toilet paper rolls. You probably only need about 3 today, but if you have extras, that's okay too, in case you make a mistake and need to start over. You'll also need a sharpened pencil or a pen. We're going to use this to poke the holes in the toilet paper rolls. It's a little easier than using your scissors to do that. So make sure you have a pencil that's sharpened, or a pen works as well too. You're also going to need to make the sticks, the handles for the marionettes, either if you have popsicle sticks or sticks from your backyard work fine too. That's what I'm using today. And then finally, to have weights on the feet of your marionette, you're going to need either, if you have some beads lying around, if you have maybe macaroni noodles, or just bits of twig. That's what I'm using. So I just took a little bit off each of my handle, and I've got 4 little bits of twig, and we'll tape that to the bottom of the feet to give it a little weight. Okay. So while we get started, if there's any last minute things you need to gather, you can go ahead and do that now. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So our subject today is an African painted dog. I love these guys. They are so beautiful with their coats of brown, black, white, and sometimes yellow and even red. And that's why they're called a painted dog, because they look as though their coat has been painted. And every coat is different. Not one has the same exact pattern, which makes them very beautiful and unique. And they also have really big ears that they use for hearing and for cooling off. So that is who we are going to create today, is an African painted dog marionette. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is we're going to get our toilet paper rolls painted. Now, if you're using marker, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and use paint because they are painted dogs after all. So you're going to take your 3 toilet paper rolls, and I'm going to go for a realistic looking dog, which means I'm going to use the colors that I mentioned before: red, yellow, black, brown, and white. Now, if you don't have those colors or you have other colors you really love, use those, that's fine. So we're gonna get just all 3 of these totally painted. Then we're gonna let them dry while we talk a little bit more about painted dogs, and then we will come back and finish the craft, okay? So I'm gonna take a bigger brush and I'm gonna use my base color is brown, okay? So I'm just gonna paint all of my toilet paper rolls, cover them with brown as the base coat, okay? Okay. Now I've done my 3. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time. I'm going to check to see if we have any questions in the chat. Doesn't look like it. Okay. And if you feel lost or need more time, please let us know in the chat, okay? All right, so I've done the base coats of each of mine with some brown. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and decorate it with all those fun colors. So I'm going to take a little bit of a smaller brush this time. And I'm going to start with some black, okay? So you want to just get a little bit of black. You don't need a lot. And you can dot it like I'm doing. This is called scumbling. And I'm just dotting it like that. Dotting it like so. All around, just to give it some spots. So it's going to kind of look like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, which is what's so nice about it. So I'm going to do that with all 3. Clean my brush off. Get all that black paint off of there. Make sure it's nice and clean. And then you want to dry it. Okay, I've got a little towel here that I'm using. You want to make sure it's nice and dry. And now I'm going to use another color. I think I'm going to put some yellow in there. The yellow I have is called yellow ochre, which is a little bit darker. It's not like a bright, bright yellow, if you can see there. But if all you have is a bright, bright yellow, that's okay too. If you want actually to make it darker, mix a little brown in there and it'll make it a little bit darker of a yellow if you're going for a realistic looking paint job. So again, I'm just gonna do lots of spots all over. Just like that. Now we got some yellow going on. Awesome. You're going to clean your brush again. Okay, dry that off again. And I'm going to use just a tiny bit of red. okay? Teeny tiny bit. Just do a couple spots. So I barely did any, but it gives it just a little something, okay? Teeny tiny bit of red. If you use too much, it might look like blood, which might work because they are carnivores, and we're going to talk about how they hunt in a little bit. But it just gives it a little bit of a lighter color. Okay, last color, clean your brush again. And we're gonna do our white. So take a little bit of white, and again, just gently all over, about the same amount you did with your yellow. So kind of like that at the end. Do my next one. Okay, just all over. Just like that. All right. So here are my 3 completed ones. And while you guys might still be working, which is fine, but we're gonna let these dry, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about painted dogs, okay? So like I said before, African painted dogs have beautiful coats with brown, black, red, and yellow. And each coat is unique to an individual. So sometimes that's how scientists can actually identify who is who in a pack in the wild, is they'll pay attention to their patterns on their coats. They can run for super long periods of time. And that's how they actually hunt. They exhaust their prey. They run after and run after until their prey gets super tired. And in the wild, painted dogs will hunt gazelles, other antelope, and in between those bigger meals, those bigger hunts, they will eat rodents and birds too. And like I said, they have really big ears that help them hear really far away, which is good for hunting and protecting their pack. And it also helps them keep cool because it's pretty hot in Africa. They live in packs of 2 to 30 animals, so they have really big families that they live in. And each family has an alpha male and an alpha female. And they rely heavily on teamwork for hunting and caring for their pups. So the alpha male and alpha female are in charge of all the big decisions, and they take care of everybody, but they work as a family. They have the aunts and the cousins all help to hunt and take care of the pups in the den. Now we're going to watch a short video about our painted dogs at the St. Louis Zoo. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. So that's just a little video that shows that a zookeeper took at our zoo, showing how our painted dogs live and interact with each other. Like I said, they're super social animals. So being together, communicating, playing is all very important for them. Also, I see we have a question. Where are the pups? So we actually don't have any pups right now at the St. Louis Zoo. All the members of our pack are adults. So yeah, it's just an adult group right now. So hopefully now your toilet paper rolls are fairly dry, and let's get started assembling this marionette. The first thing we're gonna do is we have to cut out our pieces, okay? So you're gonna pick one of your three, and these are gonna be the ears, okay? So what you're gonna do is take your scissors, you're gonna cut open one of your toilet paper rolls, so you just have a nice sleeve like this. And your other two, you're gonna use as body parts, okay? One is going to be the body of the animal, and the other is going to be the head and the snout. So we're gonna cut one of these a little shorter. So with this one, if you're ready, you can go ahead. If you're ready, you can go ahead, and from this, you're gonna cut 2 ears. So on the blank side, you're gonna take that pencil or pen and draw 2 big ears. 1, 2. I'll show you how I've drawn. You can see that I've drawn 2 stencils for the ears. Now I'm going to cut those out, okay? So this is the shape you're going to get at the end, okay? You can do that with the other one. And that's your other one. So it looks like this on one side, but then painted on the other. So you should have 2, just like that. Okay, those are the ears. We also are going to use this same piece to cut out a tail. So you should have a little bit left over at the bottom. We're going to use that to just cut out a long rectangle shape. You can make it a little uneven because it's supposed to look furry. It's going to look like that, okay? Now we're done with the scrap. You can recycle it. With this tail piece, I'm going to have you bring out your white paint for just a second because their tails do have a white fluff on the end. So I'm going to grab a little bit of white paint, paint just a little bit of it white like this, and set that aside to dry, okay? All right, now let's finish the getting the body pieces ready. So like I said, you've got your one body piece. That is the length it needs to be. We don't need to touch that one, but we need to make a head / muzzle. So this is a little long for a head and a muzzle. So we're gonna cut this guy a little bit shorter. The way to do that is to take your scissors, take one end, and make several slits about maybe the length of your thumb, okay? So measure up to your thumb, make slits around the edge, okay? Now you've got your slits around the edge, you're gonna pop those out like this. So now it should look like that. And this is gonna make them easier to cut, and then we're just gonna cut off each of these tabs, okay? So now go back in, cut off each of the tabs. There we go. And now we have a shorter head and muzzle, okay? And you can take those pieces and we can put those in the trash. I mentioned recycling earlier, but actually because they're painted now, they can't be recycled. So those will have to go in the trash. Okay, so just to check, right now you should have one long body, a shorter piece for a muzzle, and 2 ears, and your tail, which should be drying over here. All right, so we can set our scissors aside. Now it's time to poke those holes where the string is going to get fed through. So you're going to take your sharp pencil or pen, and you might want a grown-up to help you with this if you feel a little uneasy, okay? Because we want to be very safe about it. So we're going to take our body piece, and we are going to put a hole on the top of one side, okay? So very gently away from your body, you're gonna poke a hole. There we go, in there. Great. So you're gonna have one hole on one side on the top, okay? Now, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side on the top. There we go. You'll have another hole. Now on the second side, you wanna put another hole. Actually, I'm sorry. So now you should just have 2 holes on the top. It's gonna go like this, okay? Now, the next thing you wanna do is make a hole on the bottom side. So flip it over where you don't have any holes. And you're gonna make a hole on the bottom side, okay? One there. And one on the other side. Okay. So now you should have 2 holes on the top, 2 holes on the bottom, okay? And you can set that piece aside. Now let's work on putting the holes on your muzzle. So this is where you need 2 matching holes on the top and the bottom because that string is gonna feed all the way down. So poke a hole at the top, just right here, and then find right where it would go underneath it on the bottom side. Try to match it up and do another one, okay? So you should have a hole here and here, right there and right there, okay? Great. Oh, and now check your tail. Hopefully your tail is dry. And you're gonna poke a hole at one end of your tail, because that's gonna get in there too. Okay, great. Got a hole there too. All right, now let's get our string out and we'll start stringing this guy together. Okay, so you're gonna take a string about arm's length apart, and you can always cut off the extra if you need to. But we're gonna start with the tail side. So you're gonna you take up your body piece again. You're gonna feed it through one side, either side, wherever you want the back side of it to be. Feed your string through. And you're gonna tie a knot so that the string doesn't fall back through, okay? And if you want to, you can secure it with a little bit of tape. Just stick that tape to the inside. Okay. So inside you'll have a knot and then a piece of tape to keep it extra. So it should look like that, okay? Now you're gonna feed your tail through. And you're gonna secure that with a knot too so the tail doesn't move up and down the string. You might have to double knot it because my holes are kind of big from the pencil. Okay, so it should look like that. You got your tail. Okay, great. We're gonna set that to the side. We're gonna measure another piece of string. Again, just kind of go arm's length apart. It's okay to have extra. And now we're gonna do the front side. So same thing, feed it through. Now you gotta pay attention to where the top is now. So the top is where that tail is. You're gonna feed it through the other top one. Okay, you can give it a few knots so that it doesn't fall back through your hole. Try to make one really big knot here. And if it still falls through your hole, this is again where you can use a little tape to secure it, which is what I'm gonna do now. A little bit more here, and then it will not fall through. Okay, so now we held it up, it's gonna look like this. Okay, so now you're gonna go just a little bit up. This is its neck, okay? You're gonna tie a knot here, a couple knots here, because we're gonna put the head on next, and the head we don't want falling down the neck and touching the body. We want to still give him a little bit of a neck, okay? So tie a couple knots, try to make one big knot, okay? This is the part where we cannot use tape because then it will not move correctly. So just try to make a really big knot. Along this neck string. I'm making mine really, really big so that there's no chance that it'll fall through. All right, so see, I've made a really big knot there. You can see. And next, we're gonna feed our head through. So this is where you've got the side that's got two aligning circles. So you're gonna feed it through the bottom one. And then up through the next one, okay? Awesome, now feed it down to where it finds that knot, awesome. So this is what you should look like now, okay? So you got the neck and it's looking pretty good. So now we can tape on our ears, okay? Remember those painted dogs have big upright ears. So we're just gonna use tape. You're gonna find the back side and you're gonna tape it on to your muzzle, okay? And I will show you what I did here in just a minute. So I put tape on the back side, fed it through the muzzle. And you kind of want to bend them forward so that they stay up. It's gonna look like that, okay? So I just took some tape and taped them to the back inside. Okay, so this is what you're looking like. Right now, pretty good, right? Okay, so since we're running kind of short on time, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do your handle, and then I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about how to do the legs with the weights on the bottom. So now we can attach these two pieces to the handle. Now this is where you might need an extra hand because you want to make sure that it is level. You don't want the bottom to be too high. You don't want the top to be too high. You want it to be nice and level. So we're going to first make our stick handle. Take your stick and make a cross like that or a plus sign. And take some tape and secure it at the center points, just like that. Okay, so you have a nice plus sign here. Okay, now find one to be the front. And we're gonna attach it and tie it to the front, and that guy's gonna control the head. Give it a nice knot, cut off the extra. So now we've got one. Now let's do the back side. And remember, this is where you wanna make sure it's nice and even. So you can hold it up like that. That looks pretty even to me. And I'm gonna do a quick knot here and cut off the extra. All right, so this, oops, see, I got it a little uneven. So this is what it should look here. I'm gonna just go like that. So this is what you should have when you're complete, okay? And now let me quickly just explain how you would put on the legs. So with your extra bits of string, you're gonna feed it through those bottom holes at the body. So feed it through so that, and then tie a knot. Okay, I can just quickly show you how to do this. So then so you've got two pieces of string dangling off the back. And then you can cut them, shorter, because that's a little long for a painted dog legs. It's not a giraffe after all. And then you're gonna use your pieces of twig. You wanna measure, maybe that long. Then you're gonna use your pieces of twig, tape those on, and then make it look like feet. And that will also weigh down your legs a little bit, okay? So otherwise, this is what your painted dog is gonna look like when it's finished. And you can use the front and the back to wiggle and waddle and make it look like it's moving and walking. So you guys, if we felt a little rushed through this, I apologize. There's a lot of fun steps. I will stay on for a few more minutes if you have any questions about troubleshooting, but otherwise refer to this video on the Zoom website if you want to make this or make other ones. And I hope everybody had a good time. The only thing I hate is that I can't see what you made. I bet they are so cool.